and had to choose between getting medicine or groceries. I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
Start planning for the 2023 deer season at the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo. Join us Friday, January 20th through Sunday, January 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. There are informative hunting seminars, a blind giveaway, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a big buck and monster shed contest, 3D shoot, and a whole lot more. Veteran owned and operated. Get your tickets at NebraskaDeerAndGameExpo.com. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 20th through 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. Presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather, low 28 tonight along with cloudy skies, freezing rain and snow likely for Wednesday with a high of 34. It will also be windy Wednesday and Wednesday night. Snow will linger into Wednesday night with a low of 23. Currently forecasting 4 to 8 inches of total snow for Lincoln along with up to a tenth of an inch of ice. I'm meteorologist Regina Bird for 93.7 The Ticket and TicketFM.com.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into another edition of Outside the Box. We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey here on 93.7 The Ticket. And it's all being brought to you, as always, by Raising Cane's. I'm Joel Norman, broadcaster for the Lincoln Stars, and sitting in for the head coach, Rocky Russo, is one of his assistants, Mike Zanella. And Mike, how are we doing? Another weekend sweep for the Stars, so got to be pretty fired up here heading into this coming weekend series against Sioux City.
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Joel. It's always a pleasure to be on here with you. Yep, great weekend for sure. And we're transitioning now to Sioux City coming up this weekend, home with them. So last weekend is in the past.
Well, let's take one last look at it, though, because those were a couple of great wins, and it's always fun beating Tri-City, too. So a 4-1 win last Friday on the road. That was a strong effort from start to finish for you guys that night. It's a tough place to play, the Viero Center. You guys snapped a 3-game losing streak there and got it done with a huge win. What was the biggest key to success last Friday against the Storm?
Biggest key to success, I think for us, finding consistency to our game, and 200-foot game and playing the right way was really what we were looking for coming out of break. You go into break mode and you come back, and we had a great win against was it Omaha the weekend before, and we were all excited about that. And then we kind of took the high horse into Tri-City the next night, and they put the boots to us pretty good. And we didn't forget that, and we wanted to make sure we learned from that. And anybody can beat anybody in this league on any given night. So if you take any days off or nights off or even shifts off, it'll be sure to haunt you.
Yeah, and last Friday, a great start to the weekend, and then you guys made sure it was an even better weekend with a win the next night. First time going to the shootout this season. You guys were the last team in the USHL who had not gone to a shootout, which I kept thinking, and I kept saying it on the broadcast, I kept thinking, we've got to be getting close here because odds are that we're going to get to one eventually. It happened Saturday in front of a packed house, and it kind of ended what I called with a walk-off winner in that one with Antonio Fernandez scoring that winner. It's obviously a little bit easier to look back at that one in a more positive way, Mike, but that night you guys had to grind that one out, and you got it done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The whole game was a grind. It was back and forth. I think Tri-City was making sure they had an answer for the night before, and they did. They came out and played hard against us, and pretty sure they popped the first one against us, and so it was good to see our guys be resilient and battle back. But Tri-City doesn't just go away, right? They play a hard game in your face 40 or 60 minutes a night. So it was good, and the resiliency by the guys was great to see. And then once you get into OT and especially the shootout, at that point you're kind of hands are off as coaches, and it's up to the guys, and you want them to have some fun with it too, and make sure they're attacking it and not sitting back and having some fun and going out to play to win and not just sit back. So it was good to see us get the win for sure.
Yeah, overtime hockey is the most stressful of any regular season sport. I always say basketball, football, any baseball, anything else, overtime hockey. You're just sitting there pins and needles, but it was an entertaining overtime period, a couple of close chances for both teams in that one, but we went to the shootout, and the first thought for me was, again, well, okay, this is the first time for the Stars, and then I thought, I have no clue what order they're going to go with for their shooters here. There's a lot of guys who can put the puck in the net, but what was that like? Was that a moment for you guys where, oh shoot, we haven't been in this scenario yet? Did you have a plan ahead of that, or was it kind of maybe a quick discussion before it happened?
I think Rocky is really well prepared when it comes to stuff like that. We have conversations throughout the week. We do a shootout every single week, and so you have a pretty good idea of who's more confident in those situations. I think that's kind of what it really comes down to. And all the guys have the skill to score in big moments. There's no question, but it comes down to a confidence thing and who's going to go out and get the job done when the game's on the line. And, Rocky picked the right guys. So it was great. I mean, the nerves must have been through the roof. Like you said, it was a packed house. So hats off to both teams, and obviously both goaltenders. They both played very well throughout the game and obviously in the shootout. But you couldn't ask for much more of a thrilling end than that one. So that was a lot of fun.
How great was that crowd Saturday? I mean, I had chills a couple of times. That's what you dream of. You want to have those kinds of crowds, and boy, the fans brought it that night.
Yeah, it was awesome. We were joking around saying we got to do Star Wars every Saturday night if that's going to be the show. How many guys are going to show up for those games? But no, it was great. It was great. The support here has been awesome. Crowds have been getting better and better. I think that's a huge testament to obviously not just the way the guys are playing, but really our front office and you guys and how hard you guys work. And I know you guys put the time in and building connections in the town, and it's paying off. So hopefully we can keep delivering for you.
Well, it sure really helps when the team's playing as well as you guys are right now. 4 wins in a row, third time this season you guys have matched that number. It's been tough getting to number 5. And the last time the Stars did it was back in March of this past season. What's going to be the biggest key to getting that win again at home, though, on Friday against Sioux City?
Yeah. We want to take care of Friday night for sure. But for me, I want to take care of Wednesday morning first. I got to go home, finish some video stuff for the guys and make sure we have a good day tomorrow and, just build each block day by day. And, but like we were talking about, our consistency going into the weekend's got to be a lot of the same stuff. And we're starting to form an identity here, and we're really trying to distill in the guys and, who we are and what makes us successful. And then ultimately it's their team, right? They're the athletes are the ones that go out and play the game, and they take the ownership for the good times and the hard times. And, just keep building on what we're doing here and look to get better every day. Practices are getting pretty intense. So it's good to see the camaraderie and the competition level. So it's good.
Yeah, you brought up video, and that's a big part of your job. You do a lot of that work, Mike, with looking ahead to other opponents, helping some of the Stars evaluate themselves. What's a process like that? You're watching game footage from last week, and are you sitting there? Are you are you working player by player? Sometimes, okay, maybe I'm doing one for Keaton Peters here. I'm gonna watch his shifts from that night, and then I take notes on. Take me through that a little bit.
So I think the way, it ultimately works is the three of us all watch film really closely, Rocky, Art, and myself. So, Art is really tied down with the goaltending, and he puts a lot of hours into them. Obviously Rocky's main job is to drive the ship, right? He's got a lot of outside things that he deals with as far as scouts and agents and all the good fun stuff. So my main goal with video is to find some trends, collect some footage, put a bunch of stuff together, and then present it to Rocky and Art and show them what I'm seeing, hear what they're saying. And then we have some good dialogue going. This is midweek we're talking. And then, not only stuff about ourselves, but also what we're going to be seeing that next weekend. And especially just the Friday night, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But, then from there, we really start to talk about trends and what we're seeing in ourselves and our opponent. And we start to formulate our plan as a staff and what we want to show the guys. And from there, I can really start to narrow our video down once I have a good idea of, okay, this is what we're looking for. And then on a daily basis, I usually run through it with the staff before we go in and present to the guys. We got usually 5-10 minutes of video every day, nothing too crazy. We don't want to bog them down, but make sure there's some good visual aid to what we're talking about. And we're not just drawing on the board or talking out of our ears, right? We can show some proof of we kind of know what we're talking about at times. So, and then that's just on a daily basis. And so that's kind of how it works. And then the weekends, you got your pre-scouts, which is, like I said, formulated all week long. So
It's interesting with the information. There's so much available at one time. And I was talking about this the other day with another person in our front office. You can get lost in it sometimes. There's so much there. How do you get that healthy blend of here's, the advanced statistics I'm looking at, as well as here's my eye test?
Yeah, that's I think that's more so on Rocky. I would say he's the one that takes all the knowledge of his gut feeling and what he sees and what he feels versus what the stats are saying. So you can have a great statistical team that's not winning games for whatever reason, and you can have a team that's able to win games and not doing so well statistically. So you want to have a healthy balance. I think ultimately having a pulse on the room and what's going on in there. And really a lot of that stuff comes out in practice too. You can really see where your deficiencies are in practice and some of your strong suits. So it's a tough balance for sure. But I think when you got three coaches in the office every day, we can kind of bounce ideas off each other. And it's always interesting because I'll come in Monday morning with one train of thought, and two other guys might derail me and have a completely different view, and I'm in awe and I completely agree with them, or vice versa. Maybe I'll be a little bit more accurate with some things that day, and they'll be listening to me a little bit more. But it's awesome to have three coaches at this level and really bouncing ideas off each other, and you can kind of get a holistic view on things.
This is Outside the Box here on 93.7 The Ticket, being brought to you by Raising Cane's. We're talking a little bit of Lincoln Stars hockey ahead of this weekend series. Lincoln taking on Sioux City Friday, 7:05 p.m. at the Icebox, and then on Saturday on the road at the Tyson Event Center at 6:05 p.m. I'm Joel Norman, joined by the assistant coach of the Stars, Mike Zanella. And Mike, this is a team we've only seen once before. Beginning of November, which feels like eons ago at this point. I was looking at the schedule for when that game was earlier today, and I thought, wow, that felt a lot longer than that really was. But over 2 months right now, is it harder to prepare for opponents in a situation like this when you haven't seen them? And they've made a couple of trades too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I was going through some of the pre-scout stuff the last 24 hours and changing a lot of lineup positions around and numbers for them. So they're definitely a different team. They're a younger team and they're really starting to come into their own. So they're no joke. They could beat anybody on any night, and you got to really take them seriously. But overall, yes, it's definitely much harder when you haven't seen a team in 2 months versus 10 days ago that we saw Tri-City about 150 times already. So even though we know what we're getting into some nights, sometimes it's nice to have that refresher and playing a new team. Right? And I'm sure our guys are excited to play somebody new, and coaching staff were excited to play somebody new. So even though we don't know them as well, there's still a good excitement in the room for sure for Friday.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the second meeting of the season with Sioux City coming Friday. Number 3 will be on Saturday. 10 games down against Tri-City already. Only 3 more left in the season series. Won't see them again until March 29th. But you guys have done great work against them so far, leading that season series like we talked about, 6 games that you guys have won. And let's talk about that more. How nice is it just to get a chance to see someone different? I think there's perks, in a sense, maybe for preparing for someone you've seen, but that works both ways. They've seen a lot of you. You've seen a lot of them. Is it kind of nice to just toss a little bit of that recent experience out and say, okay, we're facing someone new. We don't know a ton, so we're focusing on what we can focus on.
Yeah, no, I think you hit a home run there, and really games like this, when you don't know a ton about each other, you really just want to make sure you're bringing your best foot forward, right? And it's easy when you play the team the night before and you know exactly what you saw, and maybe if you're on the losing side of things, you know you have to change some things to go into the next night, and if you're on the winning side, sometimes you kind of, not that you take your foot off the gas, but you think, oh, geez, they're gonna make a change. I wonder what it's gonna be. Let's make sure we're ready for these different circumstances. If they're gonna change their forward check or some neutral zone stuff, try to exploit your weaknesses. So it's the double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, and we hope to see lots of fans coming up this Friday, as we mentioned, at the Icebox. You guys have won all but 3 games on home ice this season, 10-2-1. What's been the key for playing so well at home this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think first and foremost, it's just definitely our fan base. It's an electric place to be playing. It's extremely loud. I heard the stories preseason of how crazy it gets, and you can hardly talk during TV timeouts. And I thought, oh yeah, I bet it's loud. Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, oh my goodness, You literally can't hear yourself think. So, but it's great. It's fun. It makes it electric. I think it gives us some home ice advantage for the most part. I also think other teams get up for it too. It's well known that we've got one of the best intros in the league, if not the best intro. So, I think the other teams are just as hyped up, but something about being at home, walking into the rink every day and that being your nest, you want to make sure you're taking care of business there. And Rocky says it all the time. We're extremely blessed. We get 30, 31 games at home, and you don't want to waste one of those opportunities. So our guys have been pretty good about it, and hopefully they can keep it going.
And this Stars team seems like the type, though. They relish those opportunities on the road, though, as well. They relish when it's a game like Omaha. This is a tough place to play, but hey, we want to be in these types of situations. I've enjoyed that about them this year as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that part's a little bit of an identity you have to learn about playing road hockey and being smart. And I would say staying out of the box, but that is something that we're working on for sure. No, I think playing road hockey is a little bit different. You got to be smarter about your approach and how you prepare, and just the overall mentality going into that game. You're in somebody else's rink. It's going to be a hostile environment, and they're not exactly cheering for you, even though sometimes we go places we do hear some Stars chants. So shout out to our fans for that for sure. But you got to be ready for some serious adversity on the road, no question.
There have been some trips to the box. It depends. They can be hit or miss at some points, but the thing that's important is the special teams, regardless of whether you've been on the power play or down a skater, have been phenomenal. The power play is really trending in a great direction. The penalty kill has been top of the league for just about the entire season. How nice is that to kind of have both in it? Not that you ever get comfortable or complacent, but how nice is that when you look at it right now going, this isn't exactly something we have to fix that right now. You're at a good spot. Now it's about keeping it right there.
Yeah, and I think anytime you're having some success with something, other teams are going to pretty much figure it out, and they're going to really keen in on it. And so we're always looking for ways to improve. And, you don't ever want to rely on your special teams to win you games. You want them to make sure they're bringing momentum back to the bench and gaining that momentum going forward. And when we're coming out of the box after a hard kill, our bench is electric and we're jumping right into the next shift. But sometimes your best penalty kill is one that doesn't exist when you're playing 5-on-5 or a man up. So we're hopefully to be playing some more advantaged hockey, or at least 5-on-5.
No, when you guys have been playing a skater out, that top unit has been brilliant on the power play. And I think the biggest reason is because you got some guys back. The last 6 games, I think you guys have scored a power play goal in every single one of them, except for one game. That was the only loss in that stretch against Tri-City on New Year's Eve. How nice is that kind of being at full strength for the top power play? There's a couple guys overall on this team who are banged up right now, but you've got all 5 players that you pretty much won on that top power play right now.
It's been good. And we've shifted some guys back and forth, especially when we had some injuries and some sickness going on. And our other unit was really good during that time, to be honest with you. Maybe our numbers weren't where we weren't quite where we wanted, but they were doing a great job of sustaining momentum, and they were popping some goals. Then we kind of went through a little bit of an injury bug. Yeah, the World Juniors and all that, and everybody was going through that. So you kind of saw that across the league. But all in all, I think both units have been extremely reliable this year. And I think the main talk's been, like you said, our penalty kill and the guys that are going out there. And those are mostly a lot of the guys that aren't showing up on the score sheet every night, but they're the blue collar guy, the blue collar worker that's putting his work boots on every day and going to work, blocking shots and really making a difference on the ice. So we've been really lucky to have everybody contributing in one way or another. So it's been awesome. And that's how the teams get successful. So
absolutely. I'm glad you brought up the second unit success as well, because right before December and all those injuries and everyone leaving for World Juniors, World Junior A Challenge, it felt like both units were pretty much at the same page. And that was a nice option to have. It's kind of nice when you take the quote unquote top unit off and you bring on the second and you're still feeling just as good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And guys are very interchangeable. And there were some guys that weren't on the second unit that could have very well been on the second unit, or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes you think about having a third unit, with the amount of talent some teams have. And we're fortunate to be one of those teams. And, to just make sure the guys are taking ownership of their unit, the guys that are out there and making the most of their opportunities is what it's all about.
Wanted to touch on some of the guys who've been in the spotlight for the Stars as of late. Cameron Whitehead, we'll start with him, winning goaltender of the week. Season high 39 saves last Saturday, a tight game. He said it to me earlier today. You guys say, great teams win on Saturdays. It's easier to win on the Friday than it is Saturday, but boy, was he great this weekend in general. He's started 4 consecutive games right now. He's won each of his last 6 starts. What have you guys noticed from the coaching side on the bench when you watch him in between the pipe right now? Because he's locked in.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed with Whitey was his practice habits. He is so fun to watch in practice, and the games too. Obviously, he does a great job in games. He's composed. He's really come into his own with his patience and his compete level. And I don't want to get too far into the goalie specifics. That's not my realm, and I'll probably sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Better than me though,
because
so.
I know. But no, the reality is his compete level in practice is just through the roof. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's some drill that ends in a 2-on-0 or it's a 5-on-5 drill or whatever it is. He is post to post. He's competing. He is not looking at the next shot. He's playing that puck all the way out until he freezes it or sends it down the ice. So he is intense as it gets, and it's great. I think it pushes everybody. We got some really competitive guys. Him and Marcellus go at it pretty good, and Dougie Grimes gets in there. So and Tanner always has something to say about it, and especially in the shootouts. So it's a lot of fun. But the thing with Whitey is his compete level and what he brings every single day. It's awesome. It's probably unmatched anything I've ever seen. So.
Incredible work that he's had right now. Right now, he is third in goals against average and save percentage in the entire USHL. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves up even a little bit further here pretty soon. Another guy you mentioned there, Tanner Ludke. You got a chance to watch him yesterday in the BioSteel All-American game, and I don't know how many people, I'm sure a lot of people who are normally listening would know what that is, but just a great honor for him, really being recognized as one of those top American prospects who's draft eligible for the NHL draft in 2023. How cool is that to see a guy with the Stars playing in a game like that?
It's great. It's awesome. I mean, anytime you see any of our guys getting some sort of success or limelight out of what they're doing, it's a huge positive. And really for me, it's about them and them getting that opportunity to play with those other top end players and make sure that they're getting some attention that they deserve. And but it's funny because I'm sure there was 30 NHL scouts at those games. Well, there's another 20 at all of our other games. So I don't know how different it was for some things, but anytime you're elected to play for a special team like that, I'm sure Tanner took a lot of pride in it, as he should. So he looked good. He was great in the face-off dot, right? We were talking about
that's what we want to see, right?
We were joking around with him after the game, but he's been dynamite there. So I was happy for him.
It was fun watching him play with other USHL guys. He was on a line with Sam Harris from Sioux Falls, and you think, how many times we're watching these lines matched up against each other, and then you see that skill kind of combined together. For me, I really enjoyed that part of it, seeing the other USHL guys working with him and seeing how those guys could kind of blend their talents together as well.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And you think about it, all these kids are playing all different systems where they're coming from. And I don't even think they had a single practice out there. Maybe they had some sort of skate run through or something, but at the end of the day, they're just going out and playing. And, hats off to the coaches that were nominated to be there. Obviously they're great coaches to get to that point, but you got guys out there with just complete different mindsets as far as how their teams play the game, and they got to gel together pretty quick. But the compete level was super high, which was interesting to see. Some big bodies, some bodied guys out there, some big checks, and that was interesting. Usually, kind of an all-star field game doesn't have much of that, and it definitely was not that. There was some seriously nice goals and some big hits too. So.
I like that you brought that up because that's exactly what I was going to use as that all-star feeling type of game, because I felt the same thing yesterday watching it. And then you're right. You see a few checks and it's like, wow, this is what we want all-star games to be like. Is everyone competitive, feeling like they're playing for something? But, in the pros, of course, they're not going to because they don't want to get hurt. But these guys, this is a chance to show off to scouts and get to that next level. So that was a lot of fun that I really enjoyed in that part. Let's talk about the guys who are going to be coming on here in a moment here. Boston Buchberger and Keaton Peters. Peters has really been a phenomenal goal scorer for this team, phenomenal in the dot. But he's been asked. It seems like he's been asked a lot of different roles this year, and he's done a great job in those. What have you enjoyed, especially about his play this season?
Keaton's been great since day one. He brings it, man. He came in great shape. He was ready to go. He's a dog. He works hard in the gym. He works hard on the ice. He's smart. He never ever really complains. I don't think I've ever heard him complain once. And he just kind of guy that puts his head down and goes to work. And he's getting better every day. He's still a pretty young guy at the end of the day. And, what his future holds for him is extremely bright. So, hearing the stories of where he's come from last year to this year has been astronomical. Obviously, I wasn't here part of it last year, but getting to see his success now is just years of hard work. It's nothing that happened overnight for him. He put in a ton of work to get to this point, and he hasn't stopped. Like, he keeps working, and the success he hasn't gone to his head, and he's extremely hungry and motivated. He's a humble kid, and he's funny. He's actually low key, got a great sense of humor. He doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, he's pretty funny. So he's a lot of fun to be around.
Northern Michigan commit, second on the team in goals right now, and as you mentioned, second-year player with the Stars as well. Joining him in just a moment here will be Boston Buckberger as well. And first year with the team, he quickly became a fan favorite though with this team, and boy, his production on the ice certainly helps back that up as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's probably got the best name in hockey, at least in our league. And Boston Buckberger, that name is about as Canadian as it gets. No, it's great. And Bucky's one of the nicest kids you're going to meet in the whole world. Honestly, since day one I met him, he's extremely professional, and he'll give anybody in the world the time of day. He's a really, really, really nice kid. And it's so funny because in practice he kind of gets this. He sees red a bit, and he's so much fire in his belly. He's so competitive. He's constantly going after our top line and pushing them to be better, and it's making him better, obviously too. But what I love about Bucky is the bigger the moment, the better he plays. He scored some really big goals at late in games, end of periods. The bigger the moment, the better he plays, and he's extremely unselfish person, and he's one of the best leaders I've been around. So he's got an extremely bright future, and he's an awesome kid. Another kid that's always fun to be at the rink. He's always one of the first guys in the rink, and always one of the first things I hear them, "Good morning, Z." I look over, it's always Bucky. So he's a very friendly fellow, and we're lucky to have a guy like him on our team for sure.
I like that you brought up that difference of very friendly, but when you're on the ice, there's a different personality. I've seen that. I'll watch a practice, and he'll say hi to you. Next thing you know, upset on the ice about something didn't go right. And it's like, I kind of like that he can flip the switch like that. That's an important thing to do, I think, as an athlete, though.
Yeah, no, it's so important. And I think, we had a conversation about 10 days ago. Rocky addressed the guys, and we've got an awesome group of really nice guys and great teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it almost backfires because everybody's so nice in practice. And it's like, hey, if you guys want to get better, it's up to you to push each other here. We can draw up the drills and describe the skills and the tactics we want to work on, but you guys got to go to war with each other a little bit to make sure you're ready for Friday night. And if you're not, you're cheating each other. And once they heard it phrased that way, that they're doing each other a favor, I mean, practices have absolutely taken off. So, and then again, it comes down to guys like Bucky, who off the ice, nicest kid in the world, probably not a single mean bone in his body. And then you get him on the ice, and it's a different story, right? It's awesome. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've loved when Rocky's talked about that with guys, about how these are great people, and he's talked about they're going to some of these schools they committed to. They're going to be a great addition for those programs as well, really aiding them in that point. Mike Zanella, Stars assistant coach, joining me. I'm Joel Norman here on Outside the Box, as of course always being brought to you by Raising Cane's. Lincoln again is taking on Sioux City coming up this Friday, 7:05 p.m. at the Icebox, and then on the road again 6:05 the next night at the Tyson Event Center. And, Mike, we've been touching on that one, how nice that's going to be. Get a look at them. When you look at the standings right now, you're right there with Fargo. But I was thinking about this last weekend. You got the weekend sweep, and I kept looking, how'd Fargo do? They've kind of been winning as well, though, too. How much are you guys watching the standings? I know you can't really take care of a lot of that, but I think there's got to be goals you're outlining. You probably would like that first round bye, even though that's still a few months out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is, extremely too early to really be looking at that stuff. I think, once a week, it's nice to see kind of how teams are trending and which way teams are going. But if you start thinking about, we got to do this, or they're going to do that, or we need this team to win, and that, like, your mindset is in the complete wrong place. It's all about yourself, your own identity, and building on that. And maybe the last few games of the regular season, that stuff will be a little bit more important, but we know if we can take care of business now and every weekend, then, hopefully when push comes to shove the last few weeks, we're in a spot where we don't have to worry as much. So that's the ultimate goal. And I know it's cliche to say to not scoreboard watch, but you really, it's way too close to be doing any of that, and if there were a couple teams running away with it, maybe we would kind of be talking about it a little bit more. But with it being neck and neck, I think it's just, we're trying to learn and trying to get better and making sure our group is getting better. So that's really just been our focus.
I think another thing is we're right about at that halfway point of the season too. So while things have kind of seemed to stay the same for a while, a lot can change. A lot can still happen because there's still half a season to go.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you've seen how important staying healthy is and things like that. And guys, making sure they're peaking at the right time. And it was a conversation we had with a couple of guys today about, hey, you got to take care of your body, but you got to take care of your mind too. Like, you got to make sure you disconnect a little bit and get some me time, some time away from the rink and stuff like that. And it's very valuable for months like February and March when you got, 20 some games in 2 months, whatever it is. So, we're trying to prep the guys for that and just teach them to be pros and take care of not only your body, but also your mind. And you should be fresh when you come to the rink, as fresh as possible, and hungry to be on the ice. We don't want guys limping out there and limping into the weekends, right? That's not what you want. So,
and February is going to test this team because you've got 2 Sundays in there with games. There's a Tuesday night with a game. And I thought about that. Rocky, you mentioned yesterday, Rocky gave the team Monday off. There's still some guys working there, but there's no formal practice. How good is that, like you said, to be making sure you're locked in, but you're also being able to take that time off when you need to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you kind of get there gradually. I don't think you can just all of a sudden give these guys days off here and days off there. I think it's something that Rocky and our staff's been working towards and kind of teaching them how to manage their workload on an off day and what it should look like and what an easier Monday looks like because of a great weekend. It doesn't mean it's a day off from the whole world. It means, okay, you might not be skating today, but let's make sure we're taking care of ourselves and the things that we need and listening to our bodies. So it's all part about becoming a pro and growing up and developing and maturing and knowing yourself. So that's kind of the lesson going on the month of January for sure.
Absolutely. Should be a fun weekend coming up. And Mike, we're really looking forward to it, taking on Sioux City. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Oh, my pleasure, Joel. I appreciate it, man. It's always a great time being here. And I look forward to seeing you at the rink tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah, another day as we get closer to the weekend. That was assistant coach Mike Zanella joining us. I'm Joel Norman. We'll take a break and come back with Boston Buckberger and Keaton Peters here on Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
SMSA and Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, and one is my business." But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place, and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and the TicketFM.com.
It's Outside the Box. We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey, being brought to you by Raising Cane's here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman, and we're joined by Lincoln Stars defenseman Boston Buchberger, as well as forward Keaton Peters, as we continue here with tonight's show. And guys, a great weekend last weekend, sweeping Tri-City. Anytime you can take care of business against a rival, that's got to be pretty sweet. Let's go through those two games real quickly. Friday's game was at the Viero Center, which has been a tough place to play this season. You guys got it done. Keaton, you added another goal, a rare road goal for you. Right. Most of your goals have come at home, haven't they? So you reach in the bag of tricks, and you got the first goal of that game. And I thought that was so important that night, getting that first goal, because, and you and I talked about this a little after that game, that's been an issue sometimes where you've given up an early goal. Maybe it's just an odd man rush, and then it's kind of gotten the 8-ball going the wrong way. So things really start out well thanks to that goal. Was there a moment where was it maybe around that goal, maybe shortly after, you guys kind of felt like, okay, tonight is going to be different?
Yeah, well, I think Rocky always talks about the first 5 minutes of the game, how important it is to come out and swing really, really hard and get that first goal. It'll create a lot of momentum for the team going forward and end up playing the whole 60 minutes hard the same way we played the first 5.
In Boston, you guys just kind of kept pouring it on after that. You got the goal from Doug, and then second period was a bit of a battle, but opened the third like you opened the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the preparation for that game started like literally after the Fargo weekend. He's like, Rocky said, Sunday morning, wake up and be focused on Tri-City. And I think that we had a killer instinct the whole week. Practice was great. So I think that like even Tuesday, I feel like we were going to be coming in really confident, knowing that we're going to get 4 points this weekend. And yeah, obviously we had a lot of penalties to kill in that second period, which was a bit of adversity. Pretty cool that we were able to succeed through all that. But yeah, I mean, it was a great first game, obviously, in Tri-City there, because we were a bit snake bitten.
Yeah, and we've played them like, what, 7 times already?
10
times already? Like, it's not even halfway
Crazy.
through the season. We played them 10 times.
It's a lot.
The last games of the regular season, I think we have them too, and that's it for them. I think it's crazy how often we play them.
3 more games left them in the season series, but not again until March 29th.
Wow.
What's that like, seeing the same team so much?
Well, it gets really competitive. Every guy knows every guy on the ice. You build a toxicness with them. Like, everyone hates each other on that team, I think.
Yeah, obviously, like there's a certain guys that pick on us, and then we got to give it to certain guys on their team as well. But I mean, it's been great battling with them all year, and obviously, nice to beat them quite a bit. Obviously, I wasn't here last year, but from last year's occurrences, what happened with that team, it's nice to beat those guys every night.
Yeah, 6-4 against Tri-City. Can't say that enough. 6-3-1 technically with the overtime loss.
Yeah.
Let's shift our focus then to Saturday's game, which was, you could argue, one of the more exciting games this season. You play a rivalry type of game like that, close one throughout. Either team could have had that. And that was something I thought midway through that third period, even before the second goal of the game was scored by Tri-City, I kept thinking, this is anyone's game. And this is what it's all about right now, is that this is what this league is about. Anyone can beat anyone. Doesn't matter where you are in the standings. You guys gave up that goal midway through the period, but answered shortly after. Was there something on the bench, maybe when they took the 2-1 lead, where you thought, okay, let's just get a good shift in here and let's get it going?
I think that after that, we just kind of persisted through that, whatever it was. And like, I think we knew that we were going to tie it up and take the game to maybe extra time or score it late. I don't know. I think that the boys just got rallied together, and obviously 3,200 fans helps, and just right behind us. And I think that for that reason too, we weren't going to lose that game.
Yeah, I think that was the most amount of fans we've had this year.
This season, yep.
Yeah, it felt amazing. It was a great atmosphere. It felt like a playoff game. It was such a close game, very competitive. Went all the way past 60 minutes too, which is always exciting.
What I always say about the Icebox is that it feels like almost every game is a playoff game there. The fans are, no matter what type of night it is, Friday, Saturday, I guess we'll see with some weekday games here coming up what it's like, but it just feels like the energy is always there. And you guys had to just feed off of that, I imagine, Saturday night.
100%. I feel like even mid-play, there's never a dull moment. Like, you're always on the bench, and I feel like in some other rinks, I don't want to talk down on any opponents, but I know it's obviously a bit quieter, and I think that the Icebox energy is just something that's just different in terms of like playing in the league, and we just kind of rally behind that, and gives us a little bit of momentum before the game even starts.
Yeah, you look at Sioux Falls' rink; they've got an amazing rink, amazing facility, but I think it's so big, it's kind of dead in there. They get fans, but they don't always fill them up, and it's hard to create a buzz and energy in that building because it's so big.
More modern rink. And I think you've heard that. I've heard that in the NHL a few times about some of the rinks that, it's very nice, it's modern, but compared to what you used to have, I think there's something about having the character that the Icebox has, and it maybe holds a little bit more sound in as well. Makes it sound like 3,000 sounds like 10,000 sometimes. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. That the first minute of the third period is always crazy. I can't hear myself think out there.
The minute of madness. That's I think
I love that.
I personally, I hate it because you can't hear your teammates. But I mean, for a broadcaster or fan, it's got to be the most fun minute of the game. Little kids too.
I keep hoping we're going to get one in that opening minute, and then it's just going to go even crazier at that moment. But maybe Friday. Maybe it's going to happen against Sioux City. As we mentioned, Stars hosting the Sioux City Musketeers, defending Clark Cup champions. Their first trip to Lincoln here, the regular season, Friday night, 7:05 p.m. You can get your tickets for that one now at lincolnstars.com. Now, it's interesting you guys are facing. We talked about, playing Tri-City so much. You've only seen Sioux City once. I imagine that's kind of nice for you guys where, okay, we've got a game we can kind of go into, and you're not sitting there at your stall going, well, I got to go against, 27 tonight or, 15. I don't have to worry about that guy kind of hounding me because I know he's going to be in the same spots. How nice is that for you guys facing someone different?
Right. It kind of feels like a fresh start almost. When you play the same team over and over again, it gets really draining. So it'll be nice to see a new opponent
for sure. And I think that they're like nothing's in your head going into that game too. Like with the slate clean, as you said, Joel, like you can just kind of go in with a mindset that it could be anyone's game tonight, and we'll have to bring it because don't know what they're bringing. But Rocky said all week that they're playing the best hockey they played all year, so it'll be a good test for us.
They've made some trades too, and they've kind of changed up personnel a little bit. So certainly something to play for with them. These next 2 weeks, I've looked at it and said, this is an interesting little stretch in the schedule because you got Sioux City, who we said we've seen once, and it's been over 2 months since that last happened. That was on the road. Next weekend, not to look ahead too much, but you got Waterloo and you got Des Moines. Every game with Des Moines has been close. Drop both games with Waterloo. You can kind of do this with a schedule of, I think you looked at, not that you look at any game lesser than another, but you go, this is a big stretch right here. It's got a different feel to it. And a lot of these games coming up too, these 3 of the next 4 after Friday, the next 3 are all going to be on the road as well. And you guys have had a ton of success at home. You've been turning it around on the road as well. But the way I look at it, a really big stretch coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think this point in the season, having Fargo and us and Waterloo so close together. I mean, Waterloo's only behind us 1 point. We're catching Fargo too. Each game matters. 2 points are 2 points. Doesn't matter who you're playing.
For sure. And obviously, we went to Waterloo that one weekend, and we got ran out of the building. I'd say like on that second night after they beat us, I don't know, 6-1 or something. It'll be nice to battle against those guys. Obviously, Des Moines win close games every time. So hopefully we can make a statement this weekend and to follow it up next weekend.
Looking forward to that game with Waterloo in particular, because that second night you guys played them, that had a playoff hockey feel. And there's been a few times this summer where I've gone, wow, just these two teams matching on this night feels like playoff hockey. So that's going to be, and they made a trade recently too. They got one of the better players from Madison. So that's something to watch for in that regard. And I want to switch things up. We've been going pretty hard into the hockey talk. I want to go back. Boston, you've been pretty busy the last couple of days. Last night you had a chance to come over to Freddy's, and great partnership between the Stars and Freddy's. You, as well as Klaus Weinbergs and Jared Mangan, are over there helping out in the kitchen. First off, let me ask you this: what were your expectations going into the evening?
Well, I wanted to learn something because I'd never worked in a fast food setting before. So it was actually pretty cool just going in there kind of like empty-handed and not knowing what I was going to do at all. But the workers in there were very kind and friendly, and went in there, actually had tons of fun just like talking to everyone, meeting new faces. And I got to learn how to do the drive-through, flip some burgers. They do it a special way, so that was pretty cool. And make some custard, and it was an awesome time. Obviously, Klaus, he's a funny guy being Latvian, and then Jared Mango, no words need to be said about him. He's probably the funniest guy on the team, I'd say. So it was a great time.
Yeah, you guys got to go on TikTok Live the whole time too.
Yeah, and that was interesting. Some of the questions and comments that Carly was telling us, but I guess the fans like it, so give them what they want.
I think the real highlight was, Buck Burger making a burger. I think a lot of people were asking for a moment like that at some point, just from the pun side. What was your favorite thing from the night you got to do?
I think the burgers, definitely.
You're pretty good at those.
Yeah, I was getting the hang of it there. See, like kind of press it down and then kind of go around. It was a fun thing to do. And the workers, Anna and Blake, I believe, were back there with Carly the whole time and just hanging out, talking with me about back home and where they're from. It's just a cool relationship for Bill. Really cool.
And one of their managers said to me, I said, don't say it too loud. I don't want the players to hear this right now. She said, your players are working harder than some of my workers are. So I enjoyed that. So, hey, there you go. Might be an option there.
Good stuff.
Keaton, what's been your favorite event here in the community you've gotten a chance to do this year? It's a great thing. I think the Stars do a great job of getting out there and helping out here in Lincoln.
Yeah, I had a really fun time with the bowling with the fans just this past Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. All the guys. We actually had a really good fan turnout, which was fun to see. Do some signatures for them after. It's always nice to give back to the fans because those are the people that are supporting us the most. They allow us to play with ticket sales and come in and showing love for us. So yeah.
Who's the best bowler on the team at the event? I know you guys were kind of jumping around. Who was the best one for that?
I think a lot of guys were putting some spin on it by the end. I think DJ Hart was going pretty hard. Jared Mangan again. I don't know. I think Coach Rocky was pretty good. I didn't get to see Z and Art, but I feel like Art's a good bowler. I don't know why. I just feel like Art would be a good bowler.
I was told Art had his own shoes and his own bowling ball. So
I'm not surprised.
Who'd you think was the best, Keaton?
I don't know who the best was, but I could tell you who the worst was. I think Mason might have hit 4 pins that entire 2 hours. I don't think he was very good at all.
Well, that's something maybe I'll have to work on the next event as well. We'll continue our talk here in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Sponsored by SAMHSA and Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back with segment number 3 here of Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman. We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey with defenseman Boston Buckberger and forward Keaton Peters. And Stars taking on the Sioux City Musketeers coming up this Friday, 7:05 p.m. at the Icebox. And, boy, we hope to see you there. Some fun games at home this season. You guys are 10-2-1 at home. We keep talking about how fun it is to play at home, and the record keeps showing it. And like we said with you before, Keaton, most of your goals have come at home. So I imagine it gives you that extra boost as well. We were talking a little bit about some of the fun events you guys have been doing in the community this season. And I think that's the fun part of the season is you're pretty locked in on hockey, but there is this extra time to be doing some of the other stuff throughout the course of the season. What have been some other things you guys have enjoyed doing this year? Just getting chances to meet people in the community and even hang out with some fans.
Yeah, well, I know that this isn't like meeting people in the community, but actually the other day, my billets, Lauren Ryan Crocker took me to the Strategic Air Command Museum outside of Lincoln, I think, 30 minutes. And that was like such a unique experience for me because I've actually been reading into some books lately about like kind of the U.S. Air Force from World War II and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And that's like something like outside of the rink, the ice box, that has been really intriguing to me. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I think remember when we got to hand out all the tickets on campus on the scooters? We had a group of about 20 of us scootering around on those Lime scooters downtown, handing out tickets to every college. That was pretty.
Well, I cannot wait to get back on the scooters.
They took them away from us.
It's like the time of my life.
Like they're not allowed to have them out with cold weather or something.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I remember that day. I remember you guys were taking those and then getting back to the arena the next day and seeing just 7 or 8 scooters just all over the place. And then I put 2 and 2 together. It's like, well, they had to get back to their cars or, something like that. So that was funny. It seems like a lot of this stuff has helped bring the group closer together after a while. And it's so nice having those things early in the season, I imagine, as well.
100%. I think
go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I feel like we just bonded right away. Like all the guys are genuine guys who mean well. And although we get on practice sometimes and there's a little bit of hatred between a few guys or a group, a line, but I think that off the ice, we all just let that go and just kind of get vulnerable with each other and get to know each other better. And it's just been like a pleasure getting to know all the guys on the team. So that just makes everything like, doesn't matter what we're doing, we can have fun with.
Yeah, and one of the things I thought, coaching. I was just talking to Mike about this when he was on. He said, "You guys, Rocky said as well. You guys are good people off the ice. You're very friendly, talkative, but you're on the ice. You're pretty locked in. Is that something? Sometimes you have to flip that switch, or is it just automatic? You ever feel like you just kind of know, yeah, you're on the ice, and it's let's go to work."
Yeah, I think guys at this level understand that as soon as you step on the ice, you're a competitor. We're all buddy with each other in the locker room, but when we go on the ice, there's a compete level that we hold each other to a standard, and we really love to go to war with each other. It makes everyone better. If you're going easy on a guy, he's not going to get any better. So that aspect of it this year especially has been really fun.
Yeah, I think that as of lately, we've picked up practice intensity, and obviously it's benefited. Like for these 4 straight wins, like we've had 2 really good weeks of practice leading up to it, and I feel like whatever it was, like end of November into December, like we were sort of getting away from that. Like we were just practice with low intensity, low energy, and I think that come weekend, it obviously exemplifies it, like what happened during the week, because practice how you play, and I strongly believe that. So.
You guys have won 5 of 6 since the holiday break. Do you think that holiday was just a nice reset? Just get away for a second, come back, and relock in. Do you feel like that?
Oh, for sure. Any break, no matter how long during a season, is really beneficial to us. It allows us to kind of like get out of the warrior mindset of hockey. You don't have as much stress on you on break. You're not thinking about things that you would be thinking about during the season. And obviously, like resting our bodies for a whole week was great. Let the hips and wrists have a break. We've got a lot of wrist injuries going around, just overuse, just shooting pucks every day really does harm on those wrists. But I don't know. What'd you think about break? I thought it was awesome.
It was great to see family and go home and enjoy a lot of snow as we're gonna get tomorrow, I guess. But just spending time with family and. Yeah, like Keaton said, just rehabbing my body, my mind more like importantly, because it's a lot like coming to the rink and having long days, and obviously we come with a lot of intent every day, so it's busy, but we love it. So the break was awesome.
Oh, awesome, guys. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. It's been a lot of fun. Hey, let's go get 4 points this weekend.
You bet. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That was Boston Buckberger and Keaton Peters joining me. I'm Joel Norman. This has been another edition of Outside the Box here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Each child has it to be successful and thrive in life, but sometimes we need your